Hello, East Nation, and welcome to episode 28 of the Darth Easy Show. Once again, I'm Darth Easy, and I'm here to bring you another fun week of the Darth Easy Show. And I get this episode out a little early because I've already seen the movie of the week. So let's get right to it, and we begin the show with the movies as every day coming out in theaters and every day that I did on my classic movie review this week. And the movie, and as always, this is the main event! Alright, so the movie I saw this week in theaters was Thor Ragnarok. I got to see it Thursday. And so here's my thoughts about Thor Ragnarok. I liked it. I didn't love it. And that's one thing I'm a little disappointed about Thor Ragnarok. And the movie's fun. Here's the thing. I had a lot of fun going seeing this movie. The movie is really funny. The humor in this movie is really great. But I said this in my review, and I won't get into some spoilers about it now. This movie felt like three different movies. It felt like a comedy. Two, it felt kind of like a Thor movie of them trying to start Ragnarok to save Asgard. And then it also felt like a Gladiator movie mixed with Hulk. And that's one thing I really liked about the movie was Hulk was the best part about this entire movie. But to be honest with you, other than that, I enjoyed the movie. Just, it's not a Marvel movie that I consider that it's going to be a Marvel movie I want to go back to over and over and over again. Like a Captain America Winter Soldier, or Captain America Civil War, or Ant-Man, or any of those other movies. So I was a little disappointed about that. Here, another thing is Helena, played by Cate Blanchett, the goddess of death. I thought she was alright. This thing with Marvel, they don't know how to develop their villains. And I just don't understand how they can really screw up villains that bad. The thing about Cate Blanchett is, as Helena, you buy her mostly because she's Cate Blanchett. She's one of the greatest actresses working today, and you buy it because of her. Other than that, you don't buy the character at all. Other days about this movie, I felt like they Boba Fetted a bunch of the some of the characters. Like you had the Warrior 3 that you saw in the first two Thor movies. I actually really liked their characters. And in the movie, you have Zachary Levi, who just last week I announced to play in Shazam. And he's like, "What are you doing here?" And then she just throws a knife, and he's like, "It's Shazam!" And I was like, "Really?" And then you also didn't have the girl who played Lady Sif in the first two Thor movies, who was a really big female part of the first two Thor, and just kind of thing. She showed up in Agent Shield, and they wanted her to show up for a few scenes, which basically says, "Hey, we're going to kill your character." So that's one thing I didn't care for about the movie. The trailers were a little mismarketed, where I kind of liked that how they did it though was because in the movie, Thor loses an eye, and in the trailers you see he has lightning in both his eyes. In the movie, he only has lightning in one eye, and I kind of liked that they was able to. They shot, I guess, a couple of scenes, and it was a little of a misled direction. I kind of liked that they did that. Thor Ragnarok is a very fun movie. It's worth seeing in theaters, but it's not the best Marvel movie I've seen yet. And I think it's actually my least favorite Marvel movie of the year. I'll have to think about it some more, but I kind of like the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 a little more, to be honest with you. And now let's move on to my classic movie review. And this week I reviewed The Godfather Part 2. Godfather Part 2 is an absolute awesome movie. It is a great movie sequel directed by Francis Ford Coppola, starring Al Pacino. And one thing I liked about Godfather Part 2 was it found a way to be both a prequel and a sequel. It had flashbacks to Vito Corleone, who was played by Marlon Brando in the original Godfather. This time it's played by Robert De Niro. And Robert De Niro just kills it completely because of the character. And to be honest with you, I think this is the youngest Robert De Niro movie I've seen so far in his career. I've always seen him as the old grumpy old man. And, I've been going back and watching some older movies. I'm going to be watching Raging Bull in December, or maybe even sooner than that. And that's one of his better performances. But I absolutely love him in this movie as well. And one thing I really liked about this story of The Godfather Part 2 is that it's a story of Al Pacino as he goes further and further down into this world of criminal, and he's like, once you're in. And that line of dialogue he says to his brother, he's like, I know it was you, Frito. You broke my heart. I just love that. And the first movie, he's still kind of a good guy. Doesn't really want to be part of the family business. But in this movie, he completely becomes the bad guy, and I absolutely loved it. Godfather Part 2. If you've not seen Godfather Part 2, watch it. It's a great movie. And now let's move on to television. This is everything going on in the realm of television I'm watching. We have a bunch of stuff to get to. Let's get started right now. First off is The Flash, Season 4, Episode 4, Elangated Journey into Night. So in this episode of The Flash, you have Barry Allen, and then they find another person who was on the bus, and it turns out it was a guy who used to be a cop that Barry kind of busted for being dirty. This guy is basically, he can stretch his arms, and I forget, I think they were called Plasto Man or something. It was an alright episode. It's probably my favorite episode of the season so far. Not saying much because the season's been a little weak in my personal opinion, and I kind of like that they were able to set a new kind of hero up that wasn't a vigilante like Arrow, but was also able not to have the freaking Speed Force. So I kind of like that. He also saw he was a detective. So I enjoyed this episode of Flash. It can only go up from here. Let's move on to DC's Legends of Tomorrow, Season 3, Episode 4, Phone Home. So in this episode of Legends of Tomorrow, we have the Legends, they go back in time, and Ray Palmer has kind of been killed, and so they have to go back in time to save Ray. Ray had basically befriended a Dominator that we saw in last year's crossover event with the Arrow and Flash shows. And this episode was so much this episode was E.T. And I absolutely loved it. And they even had the bicycle. This episode was a complete nostalgia to E.T. And the episode also sets up where Dr. Stein is him leaving the show, basically. He goes back to 2016 or 2017 to be with his daughter, to see his first grandson, and at the end of the episode, you see Jack saying, "We gotta break up. We have to break up Firestorm." Basically, trying to be that, because the guy who's playing Dr. Stein has got a show on Broadway, can't be in the show anymore, so we kind of have to write him out of the show for now. But that's the thing about Legend of Tomorrow; he can always come back. So let's move on to Survivor, Season 35, Episode 6. This is why you play Survivor. Let's see, if I remember right, this episode, it's been a week, so give me a break. So in this week's episode of Survivor, I was not a big fan of this episode, mainly because I really like Allie. I thought she was a very great Survivor player, and I feel like she's going to be, I think she's the Kelly Whitworth of the season. I think she had a lot more games to be played, but Ryan did the right move. He put a dagger into her back, and he knew she would not be a trustworthy member moving forward, so he had to get rid of her. So I understand the gameplay. It's just I really wish Allie could have stayed a little longer. Merge is next week, so I'll be looking forward to watching that. Now let's move on to The Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory, Season 11, Episode 6, The Proton Regeneration. I'll be perfectly honest with you, I don't even remember what this episode was about. I try to remember it right now, but I have no idea. So let me pause and let me look up if I can remember anything. Okay, I got a refresher. So this episode of Big Bang Theory, Sheldon and find out that Dr. Proton's show is going to be picked up by some random new scientists, and Sheldon's trying to get it. He gets some advice from Will Wheaton, and it kind of reinvigorates the rivalry between Wheaton! So that was kind of funny. Maybe it shows back on track. Probably not. Let's just be honest with ourselves. The funniest part of the entire episode, though, for me, was when Amy says, maybe we'll get a female scientist and to do the show. And Sheldon's like, hold your horses. We already have a woman Doctor Who. Don't take everything away from us. I was just like, that's great. A good moment from that episode. Now let's move on to Sir Arrow, Season 6, Episode 4, Reversal. I love this episode, I'll be perfectly honest, and I have two reasons why. Michael Emerson. That's right, we find out that Michael Emerson, who played Benjamin Linus in Lost, and played Finch in Person of Interest, two shows I really, really liked. And we see him coming as a kind of like a hacker villain character who's not as bloodlust as we have come to know for our Arrow villains. And he teams up with with Black Siren, Laurel Lance, and you see her, she just snaps some guy's neck, and he's like, we needed him knocked out, not killed, Miss Lance. And I was just like, I just love just a little more of the mastermind kind of character other than the guy who's got, I'm Bert Strife, I can beat you. I kind of like a character who can kind of play the behind the scenes, and I really like this episode of Arrow. I'm looking forward to seeing what Michael Emerson does the rest of the season. And I could talk more about Felicity, but when I saw him, I was like, woo! Now we're moving on to Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, Season 4, Episode 29, Economic Development. Not really much to say for this episode. John Oliver makes some Trump jokes. I laughed. Moving on. Now it's time to go on to Star Trek Discovery, Season 1, Episode 8. Alright, I'm gonna butcher this. Civis Pacem para Bellum, which basically translate, the only reason I know this is because I own a Punisher shirt. You might see that on some of my YouTube videos. And it translates to, if you want peace, prepare for war. And this episode, I thought, really captured what I always knew about Star Trek. Star Trek, they're explorers, they meet new life. And I thought this episode was a really cool episode of Star Trek Discovery. And it's actually giving me more and more hope. I've actually liked the past two episodes. And one of my favorite characters is Mr. Sulu, or I always butcher the name. But I really like his character, and I also like the guy soldier character. I think they're really cool, and I really like what's going on with the Klingon story. And we'll see everything kind of hit the fan next week on Star Trek. So I'm looking forward to see what happens next. And now we're moving on to Star Wars Rebels Season 4, Episodes 7 through 8, Kindered and Crawler Commanders. So in this the first episode, Kindered, we got to see Rux, who is a character voiced by Warwick Davis, and he's known in the Star Wars Expanded Universe as Thrawn's assassin. And you see him, you see how good he is. He can sense Seb, and I really like what you saw there. I also really like you got some stuff going on with Lothal and the Wolves. And it was a very cool episode. It has something to do with the Force, and I really, really liked that. And then the other episode of the season, we saw they're basically trying to hack a trash or a mining vessel so they can get a signal to Hera, so they can plan out their attack on Lothal. And I liked it. This was a setup episode toward, I guess, I don't know if this is the last episode of the season, because that's all my TV app had showed. But I think next week might be the last episode we have for a while. But it was a very cool episode, and I'm looking forward to the finale. And then the last show to talk about is The Gifted, Season 1, Episode 6. I got your 6. This episode, Gifted is probably my least favorite show on TV right now, maybe other than Big Bang Theory. And I don't know if I want to keep watching it, to be perfectly honest. But this episode, you have the Mutant Underground. They're going into the bunkers to get information of how the Sentinel programs control mutants, some evil doctor. That's really all I have to say about the show. And now it's time to move on to video games, since everybody going on the realm of video games. And guess what? I'm actually playing some video games. I know, shocker, right? So first, I'm actually playing 2 video games at the moment. for some reason during March, I bought Mass Effect Andromeda. I'm a BioWare fanboy, and I've been wanting to play some Mass Effect lately. And I was like, I gotta beat this. I paid $60 for it. It's not worth that anymore, and I'm not gonna trade it in because it's not worth anything right now. So I've been playing Mass Effect Andromeda. I had to say I've actually halfway been enjoying it. Maybe I'm just a sucker for simple BioWare stories, but I actually really enjoyed it. I've been playing as an engineer, and I'll talk more about it. But the game everybody really probably wants me to talk about is Call of Duty World War II. I have not been playing any of the campaign. I played the first mission, Battle Normandy. My only complaint is so far of the campaign is that World War II did not begin on the Battle of Normandy. It just didn't. I would rather it started in Africa because technically World War II started for the United States side on the Eastern Front, or in the European front, the European theater. It actually began in Africa. Italy had some claim in Italy had some claim in Africa, and Hitler was helping Mussolini out, and then they eventually, when they got that taken care of, they moved on to Italy, then to Germany, and then that history's made. But World War II in all history, we all say America great in World War II, but really it was Russia that did most of the work. And that's one thing I liked about the original World at War Call of Duty was that the European campaign was completely fought for you were a Russian, and then the Japanese campaign was the Americans. And I don't think there's a Japanese theater. I had all the multiplayer I've been playing. Multiplayer I absolutely suck at. I played a quick match, and I started off with 2 kills. I'm like, all right, I'm off to a good start. I didn't get anything more than that. I did die like 15 times. I'm not good at Call of Duty. I enjoy playing it. It's fun. It's a fun little game. So that's really all I want to say about Call of Duty World War II. I'll try to play some more of the campaign, get a review out that for you soon. But for now, that's it. Now let's move on to anime. It's everything going on in anime I'm watching. Not watching any anime, so let's move on to books. I actually did read a bunch of Leia this week. Only reason I read a lot of Leia because I went to go see Thor Ragnarok, as I said at the beginning of the show, and I got in the theater around 6:05. I brought my book with me because I was like, I better bring this in because I don't want to play on my phone because my phone will die. And I got through a lot of Leia. She's gone through the initiative. She just met, what I've read in the book so far, she met Tarkin. And, these two characters you see in the Star Wars Episode 4 movie, that these two have a history waiting for them. And it was a very cool moment in the book. So I'm looking forward to reading more of the book. And now it's time to move on to the upcoming 7. This is every day coming out in theaters next week. And we have 2 movies coming out. And first off, we have Daddy's Home 2. The sequel to the original Daddy's Home. I'm not going to be seeing this movie. I didn't see the original, and it's too early for a Christmas movie. Mel Gibson, John Lithgow are in this, and we'll see how the American public has accepted Mel Gibson, because Mel Gibson has not made a lot of money in movies. His face, behind the scenes, he's done pretty well with Hacksaw Ridge last year. But let's see how he does in Daddy's Home 2. Now, the movie I'm really looking forward to is Murder on the Orient Express. This is a movie directed by Kenneth Branagh, starring Johnny Depp, Kenneth Branagh, Daisy Ridley, Penelope Cruz, Judi Dench, Josh Gad, and there are other actors in there as well. But I am looking forward to this movie. It's got a little murder mystery to it that I really like in movies. And I've already seen reviews, and the reviews have not been the highest, not as well as hoping, but I'm still looking forward to this movie. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Guys, that is episode 28 of the Darth Easy Show. So guys, make sure on the YouTube comments, you comment to me, tell me what Hello, East Nation, and welcome to episode 28 of the Darth Easy Show. Once again, I'm Darth Easy, and I'm here to bring you another fun week of the Darth Easy Show. And I get this episode out a little early because I've already seen the movie of the week. So let's get right to it, and we begin the show with the movies as every day coming out in theaters and every day that I did on my classic movie review this week. And the movie, and as always, this is the main event. Alright, so the movie I saw this week in theaters was Thor Ragnarok. I got to see it Thursday. And so here's my thoughts about Thor Ragnarok. I liked it. I didn't love it. And that's one thing I'm a little disappointed about Thor Ragnarok. And the movie's fun. Here's the thing. I had a lot of fun going seeing this movie. The movie is really funny. The humor in this movie is really great. But I said this in my review. I won't get into some spoilers about it now. This movie felt like three different movies. It felt like a comedy. Two, it felt kind of like a Thor movie of them trying to start Ragnarok to save Asgard, but